Let's go live. We are live. We are live. Let's let the people join. Hello. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. We're here. We're late. I'm late. You are all just right on time. So what are we doing? If you are new, well, welcome. Ladies Get Paid founder here, Claire Wasserman. I am committing to 90 days of going live. Same time every day, Monday through Friday, sharing a lesson I've learned, or a story from my life or from the community. So if you have interesting things going on, you got progress to share, you got some wins, tag us, shout us out so we can shout you out. By the way, as always, if you see my eyes going back and forth, it's because I am simultaneously live on Instagram and LinkedIn and technology. All right, so what are we talking about today? Boundaries. Part of that is an inspiration from yesterday's live, which was about procrastination. And I think, and before that, we talked about overcommitting. So I feel like this is just the next step, the natural evolution from if you want to have more command over your life. Notice I did not use the word control. I don't like the word control, but command over your life and all of your choices. That means you need to protect your energy. And a big part of that is learning to say no to things, setting boundaries. But why can it be so difficult? Does anybody have trouble with setting boundaries? Or maybe you have had trouble in the past in setting boundaries. Think if you are a people pleaser, right? If you are somebody who gets really nervous about, disrupting, jeopardizing, you want everybody around you to feel good, you oftentimes put others' needs before your own, it is going to be very difficult to set boundaries. But if life is a marathon, which hopefully it is, right? Hopefully it is, we need to be thinking more long-term. And that means setting some boundaries. There is a woman I want to give a big shout out to. She is sort of like the queen expert of boundaries. Her name is Nedra Glover Tawwab. Also, Brene Brown has some good stuff to say about boundaries. And I want to just read a quote from Nedra real quick. She says, boundaries are ways to communicate our needs to others via words and actions. They are also perimeters that we establish with ourselves. Boundaries aren't just about telling other people what to do, but they're also about holding yourself accountable for creating your life. So, but let's go through first why it might be hard to set boundaries and then some strategies of how to actually do it. So if you are a people pleaser, this is a fear that, if I set a boundary, will they be mad at me? If you are somebody who can, catastrophize, you dramatize situations, maybe your fear of setting a boundary is that, oh God, they will leave you or fire you. If you tend to overgeneralize, like, I'm not going to set the boundaries because it's not even going to work, right? You're sort of defeatist about it. Or maybe you have kind of black and white thinking, like, people just aren't going to care, or you're going to jump to a conclusion, they're not going to listen to me. All right, the first step of setting a boundary before you do it is really prepare the solution that you will present to the other person as opposed to just the problem. Like, you are very focused on the problem. You've probably been living in the problem and building resentment over time. If you wait until you can no longer contain that resentment, of course, it will burst out of you in a terrible way and it'll put the other person on defense mode. We do not want that. What we want is for them to see how you setting a boundary is in their benefit. Take a deep breath and state what you need or want and what you expect and next time. Okay, offering solutions, not just stop doing this, but here's an alternative way to look at it, right? Managing your discomfort is a huge piece of this, okay? So reminding yourself that despite maybe feeling guilty or uncomfortable in setting the boundary, what you are doing is strengthening the relationship that you have with this person. You are also proving to yourself that you are willing to put your needs first, and that is incredibly important. And also, you can do hard things, right? You can set a boundary, and have it be difficult, and still follow through on it, right? That you are holding yourself accountable for creating the life you want. And also, by you setting a boundary with that other person, you're also setting a good example for them, because chances are they may need to be setting some boundaries in their own life. Okay. And by the way, we don't have control over how they're going to react. You may have set this boundary in the most beautiful way possible, and they can't handle it. And I don't want to say that's their problem, because they're going to dump it on you, right? Because you're now going to have to experience the ramifications of setting that boundary. But chances are the way they respond has a lot more to do with their own inability to regulate themselves than it does you and what you've presented. But just go back to, and this is from Nedra Tawab, by the way. She has the 3 C's. So as you are preparing to set your boundary, ask yourself if your boundary is clear, if it's concise, and if it's consistent. Do you state what you need? Okay, or set a limit. Also, by the way, how did you present it? So are you doing it in a way that's like a suggestion or really a statement? Can you be sort of compassionate, but also stand your ground? Yes, you can. Now, chances are you're going to be thinking about, oh gosh, if I set this boundary, what are all the negative responses I'm going to get from it? I actually want to challenge you to think about the positive possibility as well. So the boundary, let's say you want to, I don't know, stay in a hotel when you go visit your family instead of staying with them, because the chaos of it's really going to detract from some like inner peace work you're trying to do with yourself. Your initial thinking here is, oh, they're going to be hurt and disappointed because they're used to me staying with them. They're going to take offense to it, right? All right. How about the positive possibility? Maybe your family will understand that you have a desire for space, and actually it'll be a really nice visit for everybody if it's less tense for you. I encourage you, for every boundary that you want to set and you have that fear, really try to flip the switch for yourself to see if there's a positive way of looking at it. Okay. But of course, all of this is, easier said than done. And sometimes you just got to do it and do it again and do it again. And you're going to learn as you do. But I really have to just underscore something that's been incredibly helpful to me is that when setting boundaries, I do really look at it as me improving the relationship that I have with the other person and also inspiring them to do it for themselves. I know I mentioned that earlier in this live, but I wanted to say those 2 things again, because those have been what I hold on to as reminders when I set boundaries. And it doesn't necessarily get easier every time. Right? Because again, at least for me, I'm a little bit towards the people pleasing part. You can also start practicing setting boundaries in low stake ways. And an example of this might be an autoresponder. Okay, so a boundary in your email, in your inbox. And I want to give a shout out to Erin Halper for this, because she has a wonderful autoresponder that pops up with, she basically gives like a list of, thank you so much for reaching out. If you are a member of my community, you will most likely get a response. You're my priority. She sets expectations for when you can assume that you will hear back from her, and then has something really funny in it. Like, there's like 4 bullet points. And the 4th one is, and if this is Oprah, like I'll be responding immediately or something. She's sort of humorous about it. And that is just a wonderful, again, to the point of like when you set boundaries, you can inspire other people to do the same for themselves. It reminded me of the power of a really, really great autoresponder. And I think that we just in general, pep talker, Maggie, amazing. I think it's just a really good reminder for all of us is that we do not need to be responding to each other's emails immediately. We all need to just let go of that expectation to be on this hamster wheel of like 24/7 content production response time. Oh my gosh, we can't even catch our breath. And so when I see somebody else's really good autoresponder, it reminds me that we need to, as a collective, just, have an agreement to like let go of the immediate response time. But there is a way to do it, I think. And one example of this would be explaining in the autoresponder the times in which they can expect a response from you, right? For example, thanks for reaching out. To best direct my energy to high priority projects, I will be checking and responding to emails twice a day at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. If you need anything from me urgently outside those times, you can call me at this number. Please try to avoid using instant messages whenever possible. Email is always the best way to reach me. Also, if you want to give some kind of like data about how to even, why it's good for us to do this for each other, if also people tend to email you things that are too abstract, right? Give them bullet points in this. Hey, send me emails with like a really clear call to action, right? If it's something is urgent, email me again, but put the, urgent as the subject line. Um, you know, just including data why you're making this change, why it's good for the other person. This is going to be really, really helpful because all people want to know is just a general expectation of when they can expect that they'll hear back from you. So to get that immediate responder, what's wonderful about it is it's like telling somebody, I see you. And that's the fundamental human need that we all have. They're getting that immediate response. However, it's an auto responder. So it's not requiring your personal immediate energy and attention. So play around with it. Also, you can use these autoresponders as opportunities to maybe talk about or promote things that you have going on. So I really did this when I was writing my book and I needed to protect my time and my focus. I was like, hey, I'm in the midst of writing a book. If you want to learn more about it, sign up for a mailing list here. So that was kind of, did double duty there, protecting my boundaries, but also promoting something I had going on. If you work for somebody else, perhaps confirm with them that it's okay that you're going to be putting up this autoresponder first if you have any hesitation about it. But again, I really think this is a wonderful way for us all as people who work, just agreeing together to stop expecting immediate responses. That was my daily live for today. So we talked about boundaries and some ways that you can set yourself up for success kind of internally and externally as we express our boundaries, and then a very specific example of auto responders. As always, Claire Gets Paid on Instagram. Come join our family, ladiesgetpaid.com. It's free. You can always upgrade as well. And by the way, job seeker support meetups happening Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's on ladiesgetpaid.com. We also have a town hall that is happening on May 4th, free, talking about the guilt of charging more, kind of, the emotional resistance some of us have to raising our rates and how we can work through that. Happy almost Friday-ish, maybe, or whenever you are watching this. Best of luck to you in setting your boundaries. I'll see you at tomorrow's live. You got this.